What's going on, guys? Hey, Matt here with Frank. Big topic we want to talk about, which you see a lot of stuff all over the place, is AI, real estate, mortgages, using it, leveraging, and it's not going to be the doomsday that some people say it is.
Hopefully it's not Cyberdyne Systems and Judgment Day coming our way. No.
Yes.
It's a big topic, Matt. Hey, thanks for having me, first of all.
Yeah, no.
Guys,
I can't,
if you're not following mortgage celebrities, check them out. Like, subscribe. Same thing with Frank and Rob, Partners in Property.
Absolutely. You guys are
trying
doing
to
a
bring
great
you
job.
guys good, fun content. This is a hot topic.
Well, I thought
AI is the one.
You'd be a great person to talk about this. Yeah. More, it came top of mind about AI and the real estate market and what, how it impacts the mortgage side of things and the real estate. More, I think, right now on the real estate side of things on selling and buying and things.
Yeah, I think it's just impacting our industry more and more every day. It's constantly being talked about. I feel like I'm even just scratching the surface. I know there's more that I could be doing with it. I'm very interested and intrigued by it. I have been for a while. And, trying to incorporate it in a smart way. There's definitely a lot out there. It can be overwhelming too.
Yeah, so many things between the videos, searching, putting everything in chat, things like that. And on my side, on the mortgage side of things, we're seeing a lot of things automated. Yeah, with the help of AI, and it comes to appraisals, inspection reports. Sometimes those are getting run through. Even had some people going through with like your loan estimates, putting those and uploading those and asking chat to like, hey, compare these two out. What do you feel or how do you think about certain things, where those questions would generally be falling on the loan officers or the realtors. So using it as a tool, I think that might, as we talk today in our cast, I think a lot of the using it as a tool to help build things is something that we're going to be looking at. And then underwriting too, which we can get into on our side. But I know you've been utilizing it as a tool in a lot of different ways, professionally and personally too.
What you're realizing is the consumer is using it in their everyday life, right? I mean, people are using that as assistants. Some people are using it almost as a therapist. There's so many different things people are going to, especially ChatGPT for.
Sure.
That, it's sort of becoming their comfort level. So why not try to integrate it in as well?
Sure.
And I think that's important. And then the consumer's not scared of it, so we really don't need to be scared of it either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, from our standpoint, I think we are, like I said, just scratching the surface. But what I'm learning is the most valuable ways to incorporate it into your business. What I'm seeing is I think the consumer continues to make it very clear that they want the real estate agent, they want the person, they want the real live, actual human being that's there that they can trust, that they can ask questions to. So for us as agents, and I don't know if you guys see this on the mortgage side, I think it's how we take AI to help run the back end of our business, to run daily things, everyday things, and just make us more efficient, help us grow, whether it's grow our database, grow our consumer standpoint, our funnel, our sphere, or grow a team. If you're an agent out there that's looking to continue to grow their business and they're considering a team, there's lots of ways to incorporate AI as an assistant, as a back end, from that to recruit agents and do all those things too.
Well, tell me a little bit more too. You made a good point earlier when we were just chatting before we started here about when you started. I mean, you've been doing this a long time. Cold calling, door hangers, like this is going in a totally different direction where you said before, you really have to embrace it.
Yeah, they say work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah.
I mean, technology is there. You might as well take advantage of it.
Yeah. Especially
if you're a newer agent, you're trying to grow your business, or even somebody like me, almost 20 years in, trying to find new ways to continue to fill that funnel. Or if I'm starting to grow a team, how do I, pump leads, pump business to them? And there's a huge aspect of this from a prospecting standpoint that AI can really come into play.
Yeah.
There's platforms out there now that are assistants that can help automate cold calling if you want to do that, help automate farming specific neighborhoods if you want to get a little more, micro focused on your marketing.
Yeah.
And stuff like that where it can even incorporate your voice. It can be calls that are you. Like there's so many crazy levels to it, depending on where you want to go, or just to help analyze, what areas are the most up and coming that you want to start focusing on to farm. All those things like that stuff can be analyzed so quickly with AI.
Yeah.
That if you start sitting down and putting so many hours a week into that, you'll be getting so much more out of it than maybe sitting there saying, I need to do 100 cold calls a day to try to grow my business, or work on this elaborate mailer that's going to go out to these neighborhoods. I think you have to find a balance, but I think there's a lot of that aspect that people, agents especially, are not using yet.
Yeah, when you made, I was listening to you talk, you made mention about mailers and things like that before. I think even being on the loan officer side, like prospecting with things, it was kind of a shot in the dark. Like if we went over here, I'm going to try to prospect this neighborhood because I feel this might be an area that would work well. Yeah. Where now you can fine tune that it will tell you, like this is demographically or geographically, these areas tend to have the most whatever you're looking for, and extrapolating that data.
Yep. You can have them analyze the data, from the tax record standpoint too. You can have them pull most likely people that might be moving because of how long they've been in the home. Like there's all kinds of ways from an agent standpoint. I'm giving away all my secrets now.
No, I would say that's a huge tool.
That you can take advantage of.
That's a huge tool.
No, I think it's very advantageous. I think from a consumer forward standpoint too, we get overwhelmed with trying to put content out there and stuff now, you know, and there's AI editing tools. There's all these things from that standpoint as well that you can jump into if you're an agent to say, hey, how do I get more content out there? Yeah. It's so time consuming. Take advantage of AI. It's just another thing you can use it for. And
it would free you up, I would imagine, to really focus on the one thing that AI is not going to ever be able to do is sitting in a seat across from a buyer or a seller and putting together agreements of sale, negotiations, things like that, where it could take those tasks off your plate that you could focus on more of where you really need to shine.
Yep, exactly.
In those areas, which
the
is
reality
huge.
is we only have so many hours in the week, right?
Yeah.
So how do we optimize? You know, and you want to get in front of people. That's still the goal at the end of it.
Yep.
But how do you give yourself more opportunity to do that? And I think that's where it really comes into play right now, if you're smart with it from the agent standpoint on how you can use it on the back end. To get getting in front of more consumers, getting your knowledge out there to have those conversations. That's what we try to do every day. Yes. I think that's super important.
On the back side of things that you keep saying too, on the mortgage side, that's where for underwriting purposes, a lot of the lenders that we work with and different banks are using AI. So for instance, before you used to have to take pay stubs and bank statements and put them into stacks and upload those into certain folders.
Right.
Literally, we had one of the lenders come in today. You will just take the whole PDF. It might be 300 pages of whatever, tax returns. You just send it in. And the software is such with AI that it will read it and just put itself into buckets within about 45 or 50 seconds.
That's fantastic.
That would take an assistant or a loan processing assistant, generally probably a half a day, to put that all together, to package it the way they want it. And then the underwriting systems are reading that. So there'll be an efficiency on the mortgage side of things in terms of what that will do is streamline a lot of the turn times. So we're seeing that loan commitments would take a week or two are now taking a day or two. Also too, like inspection reports coming back in, we're seeing people throw those into different AI models and ask it, hey, here's all the things that popped up on the inspection report. Can you weight this on what you feel are the most important things or things, what needs to be fixed or not.
And analyze maybe some sort of cost analysis for that too, right? That's something that can be time consuming. We're on typically a 10-day contingency period when it comes to that. So now if you're trying to do your due diligence and get costs, what's this going to cost to fix, to give your buyer an idea of either this is what you're going to have to take on to move forward with this home, or this is what we may have to try to negotiate with the seller. Yeah. Having a system like that to be more efficient, to say at least we have a round number, we have more of an estimate on what the total cost, or maybe what the severity or not of some of those are. Yeah. I don't know how many people have seen an inspection report. It's detailed, it's long. It can be a little scary sometimes if you don't really understand it. Yeah. So getting help analyzing that helps us too. It helps the consumer and it helps us. We don't ever want the client, the buyer, to think, we're trying to sway them one way or the other based off of what's in there. We're always have their best interest at hand, but having that support and that data back up from something like that really helps. Because then it's not like, where did he pull that number from? Or, that's his contractor he's got in his back pocket. We just don't want that, that persona out there. We want to be able to support it with data like that, and that really helps.
Have you seen too, like, I want to throw out a question, putting in, if you ask, and I don't know if you've gone this way with like comparables, like for certain areas, traditionally agents would put together like a CMA and put those. Are you finding that helps you at all as an agent pull data using AI for that?
We've actually presented it that way in listing appointments. Okay. Rob loves doing that. So we have a few different
And we miss Rob today, Rob, wherever you're at, our
buddy,
data guy.
I know, we missed you again, but that's
here.
okay. We're rocking and rolling as always.
Give Rob a shout out. He's our data guy.
So yeah, I actually love how he puts that part of it together, because we have our traditional CMAs.
Yeah.
You know, we want to show them all the data. So we'll say, hey, we'll even show you what your Zestimate and your other analyzed algorithm data is from the big sites. We'll compare that to our RPR report, and we'll compare it to our CMA within our MLS. But then Rob will also take those comps and he'll run them through ChatGPT and get an analysis from the AI standpoint as well. And we present all of that together. It still helps. It helps us price it. It's not like that's the exact number.
Yeah.
But it gives us the strategy that we want to go with. Because especially in this market, as far as I'm concerned, your list price is just a marketing strategy.
Correct.
It's not necessarily this is exactly what your home's worth and what we're going to get. So we're explaining that to them too. It helps us figure out what that price point's going to be that we're going to list at.
I'd be interested to see too, like when it comes together of where you feel that number is, like on a list price, what chat tells you, probably what it recommends, and then where it ends up. Like, because going into March, April, as we get into the spring, having 500 houses on the market or something silly like that in the Lehigh Valley, it's still absolutely crazy to see maybe if it can read trends. These are all things we don't know. I mean, it's all uncharted territory.
Right, and we don't have the crystal ball, right? So it's nice to get as much data as possible, to come up with that plan and that strategy. And that's really what it is. The market's going to tell.
Yeah.
Right. As soon as you go live, you don't know for sure. We have our strategy, the way that we like to present it on where we think, the house is going to fall for a start list price and how that's going to look like as a market reaction then from there.
Yeah.
But it's also very specific to every house is a little bit different, right? Some of the finishes might be a little different than the other, even though the condition seems the same.
Yep.
The yard, even though it's the same lot size, might have a few variations that could be pluses or minuses. There's all those, those more small specific things that you have to take into consideration. And we can't do that till we get there and we're in front of them. They're giving us the tour of the house. We're seeing the property for the first time in person.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have all that data when we get there.
Yeah.
And then we kind of analyze from there. Then sometimes it's the seller perspective too. A lot of times we'll ask them, like, do you have a number in mind? See where their head's at as well.
Do you think going through with the as much as AI helps with the video content, putting that together with the videographers when you go to the properties, are you seeing that still kind of forefront, that the better that's done to AI help with the videos and presenting, or is it still
it's all marketing again, right? We want to present the best possible material, right? Because it's those first few days of marketing that are the key to stirring up the interest and getting people excited about it.
Yeah, because you have great videos. I mean, that's why I asked that question, because your listing, if you've not seen Frank's listings, they're well done.
Yeah.
They engage you, they pull you in right from the beginning.
Yeah.
They're really well done.
Yeah, and I think that's important because you're trying to target a certain clientele that you think is going to fit that home, right? And I think that's where the marketing videos, besides just a basic tour, may come into play.
Okay.
You want to focus on those highlighted features of the home, right? You only have so much time to get their interest.
Yep.
So I think the video marketing is super important. And, we do pride ourselves on doing things that are a little unique and outside the box, to try to draw people in. But that's where, when the conversation goes to, oh my God, AI is going to replace us and they're not going to need agents. At the end of the day, with all this technology, you can do the virtual walkthroughs. You can wear the Oculus and walk through somebody's house now, right? If they do that tour, that's what technology can do.
Yeah.
They're still not going to buy the house based off of that in most situations.
Correct. They're
still going to want boots on the ground. They're going to walk through the home. They're going to want to feel the space and be there in person. They're going to want their agent to be there to give them advice, to look closer at, the little things that they might not know to look for.
Yep.
And then they're analyzing all kinds of other things too. So as great as it is, at the end of the day, that person still wants to walk through that house before they make a decision.
They do.
But how do we get them there? That's the key.
That's true. That's where I get here and there questions about clients, about should I just, and I see it time and again where it's, I don't know if different companies are pushing them to be direct, consumer direct, where it's like they get the lead. Some of the larger companies nationally pushing that way where they're trying to consolidate and, do I even really need to speak with an agent? Absolutely. You're not going to go to court without an attorney.
Exactly.
You can't.
And that's where it does get lost a little bit, I think, where we actually come into play. And I know it's different in other states. I know Pennsylvania is a little bit more unique on how we represent our clients and how we take it all the way to the closing table. I know other states there's attorneys involved with a lot more of it, so I can't speak to that. But I know here, especially in PA, it's super important that we're engaged the entire time. Because we're the fiduciary. We're responsible for our clients' best interest and helping them navigate that. And that's where it can be tricky with the technology. With some of these ancillary sites, there's so much content and information available ahead of time.
Yep.
Sometimes before my client even speaks to me, right? And then I got to slow them down. I'm like, okay, well, let's take a couple steps back first.
Yeah.
And let's analyze this. So yeah, again, as much as I love it, it can be, I don't want to say detrimental, but you have to be careful sometimes too.
Yes. When
it comes to how much information tech's putting right in front of the consumer ahead of time. And it works for some people. Some clients are more savvy than others too, so they understand it better. It's like some for sale by owners that I've dealt with. They were very knowledgeable. They were able to sell their house by themselves. Other people did it because they just were like, I want to save on the commission, and it could become very messy. It's the same thing with the tech. It's like you have to be careful. There's always that fine line. But I always try to be as transparent as I can with my clients and talk about it up front. Right? It's like anything else with initial consultations and all that stuff. Let's talk about all the different tools, everything that's out there. It's when we're recommending a lender, when we're doing things like that from your standpoint too. Knowing that you guys and your companies that you're working with are incorporating this stuff into the back end to make it more efficient. I want my clients to know that up front so that they understand here's the difference when you work with Matt and when you work with Conquest. That's a huge part of it for me too.
So tools. It all comes down to implementing and using it as a tool where you can go through. Yep. As a takeaway that I have, we have certain home equities, HELOCs, that are purely AI driven. We have them in place. I can get those underwritten and done in about 2 days, start to finish. From time to put the app into funding, about 3 days, 4 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just to go through. Awesome. It's fantastic. But again, it's a tool, but you have to be like a W-2, bank at a larger bank. Everything's validated third party. Okay. If you need that self-employed tax return review, it's not going to go through. So I think from our side as a takeaway that I have is a tool. Use it, and you have to adopt what's going to and adapt.
I actually really like that. And again, now, my mind's already going to, how can we take advantage of that in the real estate world? Well, if I know I have a client with equity and they can that quickly get their hands on it, if they are that client that it lines up really well, and we want to throw a HELOC in the mix so that they can go buy something before they have to sell, it's a great thing to know, right? It's knowledge now for me to understand just another, thing that we can bring to the table depending on, on
the situation
for our client. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. Well, Frank, this was really, really good. And I think we just literally scratched the surface on where this is going to go as we sit here today, 2026, getting into the spring market. I'm excited. I think we need to do a recap on this one, maybe a year-end recap of where things are going, what we've seen.
No, I'd love to circle back on it because it's constantly changing. New things are coming up, but, I love talking about it. I want to keep people...
I know you're using it, so that's why I brought you in here. So it's you're doing very, very well so far this spring, you and your team. So congratulations on keeping it going. So, but I know you're using this hot and heavy. So proof in the pudding. You got to get that. You got to utilize it to keep things moving.
Yep.
So,
and guys, if people have questions and everything, hit us up. We're happy to talk more about it.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, tuning in this week, guys. Catch you on the next one.
Take care.